Hey guys, Tom itself here. We're going to talk about Titanfall. I've got some gameplay for you, but I have to apologize. I'm not very good at Titanfall. Okay, part of that is just that I'm not very good at PC first-person shooters. However, I see that as a pretty promising sign. Let me talk about why. I also have to apologize for the quality of the video. My poor old 9800 GT just cannot handle this game very well. It is too much for it. I am recording this uncompressed in order to squeeze everything I can out of my computer, but this is as good as I'm going to be able to get. I think one of the reasons why we see so many games these days with progression systems is that players get invested in them. They put some time in, they unlock some stuff, and once they get a little ways in, they don't want to lose that stuff, and so they keep playing that game. But even without those progression systems, you still gain experience, not experience points. No, you as a player get better. You learn the game, you learn the maps, and you improve your skills. And what's great about that stuff is you didn't grind for that experience. It wasn't just locked behind a play for so many hours, kill so many dudes, or capture so many points. No, you had to work for that. And Titanfall is enough of a change that I am going to have to work at this to get better at it. It's not like any of the individual pieces are terribly difficult or complicated, it's making them all work together. Even at my current fairly newbie level, I still get a taste of some of the really awesome things this game has to offer, and that makes me want to keep playing and get better. And as I keep playing, I'm going to get more invested in this game. And that's probably going to mean I want to keep playing. Honestly, this is one of the reasons why I felt so comfortable moving to Battlefield in the first place from COD, and then back and forth after that, because I didn't really have to put in a whole lot of work in order to get competent at gunplay in Battlefield. And then I compare that to my experience switching from Halo 3 to Call of Duty 4, where I had to put a lot of work in order to get competent at COD 4 coming from Halo. And I really didn't play a whole lot of Halo after moving over to COD. This is the same magnitude of change. Yes, the gunplay is clearly influenced by the developer's background with Call of Duty, no surprise there. But the game as a whole is its own thing and it really requires you to learn how to play Titanfall and not just play, well, Battlefield or Call of Duty. Look at Medal of Honor Warfighter. It was trying to compete with Call of Duty and Battlefield with just a slightly different flavor of the modern military shooter. It's not to say it didn't have its own issues, but at that point you're competing on polish. All the little things that players look for, trying to make it absolutely perfect so they can say, yes, I really do prefer this game over the other one. Those comparisons are personal, subjective, not objective, at least not usually, but they get a whole lot easier to make when the games are really similar. So we may get further into Titanfall and find that when players get really good, get to understand the mechanics, it has its issues. That would not be surprising. The thing is, by that point the game should have, even if it's not as absolutely amazing as it seems right now, it should have a fairly devoted following of people who are going to want to keep playing it because they can't get the same experience anywhere else. You know, I probably just pissed off a whole lot of Battlefield players saying, we have vehicles and big maps and Call of Duty doesn't. And yeah, those are true, but again, as I said, I felt like I didn't have to devote a whole lot in order to get competent at gunplay in Battlefield coming from COD. That's just why moving between the games is so easy, and it's not the case with Titanfall. And there's also a lot to try out, see what you like, see what you want to get good at in Titanfall. And a lot of it, the basic mechanics, not terribly complicated, it's how they fit together. As I said, I'm not very good at this point, so I'm working on my pilot movement and parkour while going on a grunt hunt with a smart pistol. It's a reasonably effective strategy for attrition. And of course the Battlefield players say, but we have vehicles too, and yes, I typically stay out of them because I'm not terribly skilled. I don't have many of the unlocks in a lot of cases, especially for the air vehicles, and so I feel like I'm taking away something from my team by getting in one. And I don't feel like that with a Titan. I get my own Titan. It's mine. If I don't call it in, no one else is going to. And so that encourages me to go ahead and try out my Titan and actually play with it instead of being like, oh, I'm going to leave that tank at the base for someone who knows what they're doing. As a whole, I'm really impressed by the interplay between the pilots with their parkour, the minions, the grunts and specters, the Titans, and the abilities. It's all fast, fun, and interesting. The asymmetric gameplay between the pilots out of their Titans and pilots in Titans is interesting. And it's not this, well, the engineer versus the tank. The engineers just need to try to team up on the tank, or maybe get lucky, get behind it, flank it. The tank has an extreme advantage, whereas here, both sides have their own clear advantages. And it's a lot more possible to simply outplay the other pilot in either role. The role of the AI minions varies by game type, the grunts and specters, but for the most part they really do need to be in there for the game types to work properly. Really, how much fun would it be if someone got an early Titan and all the pilots on the other team just went and hid and waited for the timers on their Titans to end? That would be a terrible game, wouldn't it? No, you need the grunts and the specters out there to farm them to keep players active and keep them from just camping and waiting to kill other players. Because that's what I expect would happen in a lot of attrition games. In Hardpoint, the grunts will move into the buildings where the hardpoints are and kind of disturb players who are trying to stay in the buildings, and so you don't end up with one player in a Titan right outside the point and another player just on foot right inside the building where the point is. I've done that a lot with tank versus guy in foot on Conquest in Battlefield 3 and 4, and it's not interesting. It's just kind of a game of chicken. Who wants to move into a position that's not good for you because you want to finally resolve this situation and keep moving on and play some more of the game? This one's a little bit trickier, but I'm going to say this anyway. In a lot of the lukewarm at first impressions videos I've watched, the players aren't making very extensive use of the pilot's parkour abilities, and I think that's a really important thing for this game. That level of freedom to wall run, double jump, just everywhere, all over the map, just from one end to the other, and then rodeo an enemy Titan and gun it down. Not only is that important to the balance of the game and the maps, it's one of the most fun things this game has to offer. I rather enjoyed Mirror's Edge, and so the ability to do that is just awesome, and that it fits so well into this game, I really have to hand it to Respawn. This is really impressive and well done. One thing I thought was a really good sign was reading some stuff, forums and whatnot, and seeing people argue over, okay, which Titan defensive ability is the best? What's the best weapon? What loadout is the best? And some people will tell you, hey, this is the best thing, the other thing is worthless, and other people will tell you the exact opposite thing. That's a really good sign for a game. It's not like Battlefield 4 with the tank where everybody uses active protection because that's the best countermeasure for tanks and pretty much anything. No, here we have a discussion going on, and maybe, after a couple weeks, a couple months, people will come to a conclusion this is the best loadout. But right now, the fact that we're having that discussion is a really good sign for this game. How well do I expect it to do in sales? Well, this is just my guess, but I would not be surprised if it outsold Call of Duty Ghosts on the Xbox One and Battlefield 4 on the PC. That's pretty strong. Again, that's just my guess. And if the numbers are like that, well, the multiplayer is going to be sticking around fairly well for more than just a couple months. Like Medal of Honor Warfighter, Halo 4, Crisis 3, the multiplayer in that, it was okay for a while, and not so much after a couple months. I think a lot of that comes down to how much variety players can find in the maps and game modes. They find different experiences to keep trying out different things, but in the same game. We'll just have to see how much is there when the release comes. I am really looking forward to playing this some more. The thing is, I don't know how or when that's going to happen. I don't really know what the story is on the 360 version. It's being ported by a different studio. If it's not 60 frames per second, though, it's not going to happen. I don't know if I'd buy an Xbox One for this, but at the same time, if I was going to play it on PC, I'd want to upgrade my graphics card. And then probably the CPU also, so that I could record. Oh my, things get expensive fast. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you next time.